Hi everyone, thank you so much for watching this video. So I will be teaching you here how to layer a bird. So as you noticed, most of my work has that very soft and smooth look. That's because mostly I paint everything wet on wet. Of course, there's times when I paint something wet on dry. Sometimes even after I do something wet on wet, I would jump with wet on dry on top of that. But most of the time is wet on wet. Wet on wet is the key to create a soft and smooth look of an object. With a bird, it's always important, or any bird, any object, to determine where is that light, where is the light coming from. So you always want to determine or find that spot that's going to be much lighter than any other areas over the bird, or you're painting an apple or something else. And then some areas you're going to, of course, make it darker, and we're going to shade it. And that's when you want to use actually complementary colors. If you want to create natural shadows, you definitely want to refer to a color wheel, that's very important with any object. But to create the smoothest, softest look for those feathers and to not overwork the feathers, especially if you're like me, you don't want to paint every single feather, every single hair, then wet on wet is the way to go. If you would like to watch a full class, please check out the link. It's below the video. You can join me on Patreon, where I share weekly classes, new classes. And then you can join our community. We have a Facebook group. It's a private community. And then on Patreon, there's already almost 5,000 members. So of course, I would love you to join us there as well. Please don't forget to subscribe and like this video to help the algorithm going, which is crazy. But thank you so much for your time, and let me know if you have any questions. Hi friends, welcome to this class. So we're going to paint this robin bird, and then we're going to paint some plums and then add background. So I have my long quill size 2 brush. So this is a softer brush. I do recommend having a softer brush. Think of it this way: when you have a stiffer brush, you do have in general more control, but you end up actually removing paint as you apply the paint a lot of times if the brush is too stiff. So if anything, go with like a medium stiff brush. Let's go for the colors. This is my imidazzle yellow. Now I had to grab a little more water, so it feels between water to milk like ratio. But the key is to not have too much paint. Try to have a little bit, and then grab some other yellow, right? So I grabbed the 2 yellows I have. And I'm gonna go like right here. Go slow, see how it spreads. Think about it, and I'm gonna actually grab more of the imidazzle yellow. I want this to be more like a milk-like ratio. If the paint, you feel like the paint is spreading too much, then adjust the ratio. Maybe remove some of that water from your brush. And you can even go with half and half like ratio. But in the first part of this color application, I suggest having like something like water to milk like ratio, just less of everything on your brush. And if it feels like your brush is too damp, it just feels too damp, you might actually end up removing that paint that you're applying in water. So you have to adjust it again and maybe add more of the water. So I keep grabbing the 2 colors, right? My primary yellow and then a little bit of this imidazzle yellow. I grabbed a little more of that imidazzle yellow, but I don't want to apply it everywhere. So as you see, I'm kind of touching like here and there, and watch how the paint spreads. And there's a little bit of that here too. But I got to be careful. I don't want the paint to spread too much over here because this is my highlighted area. Now I am gonna clean the brush actually, and one more time grab the 2 colors, more like a water-like ratio, and I'm actually gonna go lower because I do see yellow tone in there, even though it looks so dark, right? I do want a little bit of that yellow. Plus, if I go down there, that will help me to keep the paper wet longer because I'm applying some color. So why not to apply some of that yellow in there, just a very like pale wash. Now, what I want to do is quickly grab a little bit of this cobalt blue, quinacridone red, and then my indigo. Again, I don't want to mix the colors too much, but I gotta work it faster a little bit because now it's like It's been a couple of minutes, paper's drying. So let's go toward these areas, whatever we see, like there's the most of that blue and brown, there's a little too much of that. I'm adding a little bit of Van Dyke brown now. So indigo, Van Dyke brown, and let's go back toward these darker parts, which is like this here, and then it's like the outline almost, or this top part of the bird. I'm gonna grab some more of the cobalt blue. I did not wash my brush or clean my brush. This is still Van Dyke brown, some indigo, and you know what? After this, I gotta go back here because this is drying. I don't know if you can see it. It feels damp almost, you know, and I'm not even done applying the colors there because I want to add some quinacridone red to it. So what that means is that I gotta quickly apply whatever I have on my brush here. Very quickly, just to keep this wet too. And I'm gonna clean my brush, and the color is the same, which is actually mostly quinacridone red, iso yellow. Now, way more red here, and that's okay. I just wanna make it a little richer there. So, you can see the strokes are visible too, right? I wanna grab my blues. So, cobalt blue, indigo, some Van Dyke brown, damp brush. Okay, damp brush. You can see how I'm creating actually the feathers now with the same brush, but I need more Van Dyke brown. I'm gonna show this to you what it looks like. When I'm grabbing, it's like a drier paint. But the brush looks like this because it's a damp brush. I do want to show more brown, and I keep grabbing too much of the indigo. So here you can see more of that now. Indigo, come back here. But this is the moment when you want to decide, like, maybe you should have like a smaller brush. Might be easier for you, right? So that's the only thing I would suggest is maybe adjust or using a different brush just so you have more control. This area could have easily a little more yellow, so just keep that in mind. What can I do now? The paper is still a little wet. And that's kind of how you think about it and cruise around. So right now I have cream top-like ratio between water and paint of Van Dyke brown and some of the indigo. And I'm just applying like very delicate like strokes, right? What I could have done, and this is a little too dry, I'm sorry, is grab, this is my round three, smaller brush, and I need Van Dyke brown and indigo, and add color here. And fortunately, this is still wet, but it has to be cream tub because the paper is not that wet. I have to come back here to fix this a little bit with a second layer, maybe not, we'll see. But I wanted to add some darks. Okay, no contrast, no, your object won't look as realistic. So we need to create a contrast, that balance between light and shadows. Now I'm going to clean that brush. Always, it's a good idea to have a sketch, of course, because then you know exactly where to place the colors. So please let me know if you have any questions, and happy painting! When I see that the highlight has some color in it, and in this case it's like a blue violet, so follow blue with some quin red, that's when I know, okay, this is going to have that undertone layer. And so when you look at the highlight, this part is kind of really like white almost, and then you have the blue.